the throttle control rule.
Jeez, I'm running wide on the exit almost every time. And I'm following the throttle control rule. It doesn't make any sense. What's that Twist 2 book say?
You get on the gas as soon as possible.
Well, I'm definitely doing that. But still, coming out, I can't hold my line.
Well, yeah, mine's holding a line. It's just unstable at the beginning. I'm not running wide on the exit, but my bike doesn't feel planted until I get to the apex. I don't know what we're doing wrong.
Let me take a look. Aha, here we go. To meet the throttle control standard, steering is completed before you get it on. This doesn't mean at the apex, right before, or just after, or at any particular part of the turn. It means as soon as possible once the steering is completed. I never thought of that.
See, I was told you have to wait until you get to the apex. I've been scared to get it on before that.
Let's look at all 6 of the off-the-gas results and see why it's so important to follow the throttle control rule and get back to the gas as soon as possible once the bike is turned.
Weight transfers forward, changing our available traction. We've lost our suspension's mid-stroke sweet spot. The bike will tend to overreact to rough pavement and can become a bit twitchy. By creating some instability, the bike initially tends to run wide. As we saw before, we lose ground clearance on both ends of the bike. And lastly, the bike slows down. These are the 6 results you get from waiting too long to get back on the throttle. Getting back on the gas as early as possible solves all of these. The bike becomes planted and predictable, but can you get on the gas too early? This rider got greedy with the throttle way too early, but the solution was correct. Roll off, reduce speed, repoint the bike, and then roll back on. To add lean and throttle at this point of the turn is a common cause of crashes. But this is the way it really should be done.
Hey, no more chicken straps.
Yeah. I guess we both have a better understanding of throttle control.
And we're more confident in the level of grip.
Right, throttle control is a secret to getting the most out of your bike. But there's one place you really need to go to see if you have it nailed. The track. I'll see you guys at the track.
I stayed with you all the way to that fast turn. Man, you just pulled away like a train.
That's because you were charging the turn.
Charging turns is a common rider error. Being fearless with the speed and brakes coming in often adversely affects entry and mid-turn throttle.
That was a mistake.
All right, so when my arm is rising, I'm rolling on, and when it's falling, I'm rolling off. So my left hand is telling you guys what my right hand is doing, okay?
I got it on that first turn. But that double apex.
Well, man, you're still charging the turns.
Yeah, you're right. That's SR number 1 in another form. I'm greedy with the gas going in there, then coasting and losing too much speed.
Charging your turns just masks your sense of speed. Let's take a look.
Charging any turn tends to narrow our field of view. When we lose our reference points, it affects our sense of speed. This is one of our SRs. Our new rider is still charging corners and chopping the gas. That will cost him turn entry speed and a clean early roll-on. This looks pretty rough. Even in slow speed situations, the throttle is our friend. Nothing else will stabilise the bike. Once you've mastered your throttle control SRs, you have taken a giant step towards control over the bike and confidence in yourself at any speed.
Understanding your bike's needs and wants is important. You don't have to be world champion to see throttle control optimizes your bike's suspension, smooths out rough surfaces, helps you hold your line, and optimizes traction in practically every situation.
Man, this track riding is really hard work.
Yeah, I got a really bad forearm pump. I can hardly grip the front brake. It's like riding motocross all over again.
We gotta get ourselves down to the gym and work out a little more often.
Yeah.
My first reaction is to tell them both to relax. Let's take a close look at how excess rider input creates instability and tires out the rider.
Here again, holding on too tight causes the rider to receive too much input. The tighter you hold on, the bigger the bumps seem. Small shakes from the front end are amplified as well. Why are the bars moving? What are they searching for? They're trying to find a position that will stabilise the bike by maintaining the correct tracking of front and rear wheels. The bike does this without any help from the rider. If the rider could hold on tight enough to stop the bars moving, he would only amplify that wobble. The force he puts into the bars creates resistance and a ploughing effect at the front tyre's contact patch. Now the back of the bike wants to rotate around that resistance and the wobble becomes even worse. Setting a wheelie down crooked is an extreme example of this. Let's look again. When the front wheel is not in alignment with the bike's direction of travel, there is a huge resistance created at the front contact patch. The wheel immediately tries to realign itself with the bike's direction of travel. Take a look at the massive deformation in the front tyre as it sets down. When the rubber springs back into alignment, the front end shakes. Look at the difference in front end shake the rider is creating when he is too tight on the bars. Being stable on the bike but loose on the bars reduces bike twitch. Holding on too tight transfers engine and road vibration to your hands and arms, tiring them out and making them numb. This in turn causes you to hold on even tighter. This same elevated level of feedback can, again, easily distort your sense of speed. When the rider responds by tightening up on the bars, it gets worse. This is SR number 2 once again, tightening on the bars. Over poor surface conditions, a rider who tenses his back gets out of harmony with his bike and will tend to bounce in the saddle. This causes extra suspension action. Your legs are a terrific help to your bike's suspension in these situations. Riding light in the saddle using your legs with a loose and slightly arched back helps enormously. Most riders become anxious about being blown around by other vehicles or the wind and tighten on the bars. As the upper body is buffeted by the wind, the bike is being steered by the wind. Ride loose like this and the wind's effect on the bike is reduced. Other key rider jobs are similarly affected by holding on too tight. Being stiff on the bike while riding through bumpy turns tends to turn the throttle on and off. Suspension and traction are affected because good throttle control is not maintained. Riding loose solves this. Riding rigidly can shake your helmet and blur your vision. The more you try to brace yourself and hold your head still, the more it shakes. This can even make your neck sore. Limber and loose is smooth.
Do you ever find yourself making steering corrections while in the corner? This is another part of survival reaction number 2, gripping the bars too tightly. As the bike runs wide, or feels like it's running wide, survival reaction number 2 kicks in and steering corrections occur.
This all makes the bike more unstable and it runs wide in the corner. How much actual bar pressure is needed to hold your line? As you can see, with good throttle control, none.
Check this out. I'm not helping the bike at all by holding on. The tighter I get on the bars, the worse it gets. I don't need to go to the gym to hold on tighter. I need to lighten my grip on the bars. I had it all backwards.
Like most avid cornering enthusiasts, you've tried to hang off. There are several key elements we'll cover on this. First, when do you hang off? One of the more common beginner errors is moving over into a hang-off position right at the turning point. Notice the bike wiggling? The rule of thumb is to pre-position your hips just before you roll off the gas. This method will reduce problems from unwanted handlebar and body inputs. The second novice knee-jerker error is hanging off too far. Enough is helpful, too much is awkward and does more harm than good. Notice how stiff the rider is when off too far. One cheek off the seat is enough. These two simple rules will get you started. Hang off early and not too far. The opposite of hanging off is crossed up. This reduces control, exaggerates lean angle and makes the rider twisted and tight on the bike. With a hung-off body position, control improves. Lean angle is decreased and the rider is in alignment with his bike and relaxed. Compare the two. With the speed and line almost identical, look at the difference in exit lean angle. Less lean equals more throttle and better drive. Now let's compare straight up riding with hanging off and see if there is a difference. Here he is riding straight up. Once again, at nearly identical speed and line, there is a measurable difference in lean. Body position on the bike can positively or negatively affect your riding. He could have gotten over sooner for this corner. Getting over before turning, he's smooth as silk entering the turn. Both errors here, moving over while turning, and he's off too far. The problem is compounded when you lose connection with the bike. He's remedied that. Now back up a bit. There he goes. His arms can now be loose and relaxed. When the whole body position and turn entry package is done right, it affords a rider the maximum of control with the absolute minimum of effort. Here's another view of a clean, loose run through a turn. The human machine works this way. When the lower body is unstable, we must rely on our arms and torso for support. Once the lower body is stable, we are at liberty to relax the torso and get great body position. Notice how much lower he can go without tension. Let's look at the difference between his moves on the bike when disconnected and compare that to locked onto the bike firmly. Much more relaxed and in control. The crossed-up riding style looks even worse from on board. Everything about the rider is twisted and unnatural. Head, shoulders, even eye position is strained. One last look at the difference between riding crossed up and stiff on the bike and riding in alignment, well connected and loose.